Hello. It's been a while. I know we hit kind of a rough patch the last time that we spoke. And we've kind of taken a break from each other. That being said, how are you feeling? Ready to move past it. You know you don't have to. You know it's okay for you to be upset still. But I'm glad that you want to move past it. I know that you've been getting to know Amos a little bit. He's a lot more open than I am. But I figure it's been long enough that I'm willing to share little bits with you. That is, if you're still up to the task. Mm-hmm. You already, you know that I have quite the temper. I guess I don't always tell people why. I think it's still just a personal thing. I think there's only like 2 or 3 beings that I've been around that know. And unfortunately, Amos is the last one that is still above ground. I think however, I think it's about time that I open up a little bit more to somebody. I won't give you all of my lore all at once because it can be quite a lot for a human to handle. Mm-hmm. You would be right. I am, in fact, not human. You're definitely more observant than any humans that I've met. You seemed to have a gentle soul. I am afraid, my dear, that I can in fact read souls. It is part of, I guess you humans would, constitute it as powers. I guess I just don't see it that way. It's, kind of just inground in the nature of my people. Why don't you sit? I'll throw on a cup of tea, and we can kind of just chat. You can ask all the questions that you want, anything that I'm not comfortable with answering. I'm not afraid to let you know, as you have seen. Alright, here's some tea. Oh, I won't have any. I tend to stay away from warmer beverages. It's just a texture and taste thing. I think it just, I guess, yes, sensory is a better way to put it. I'll let you sip on that, and then kind of just ask any question you'd like. What? Naturally, you would start with that question. Right, you found out that I am not a human because you have seen my wings. You are right in that I am not human. This is always a hard thing for me to talk about. It's very sweet of you. It's not that I'm uncomfortable talking about it, it's that it just kind of, it has scared away humans in the past. And I've grown somewhat attached to you, and I don't want you to pull away. The wings. They are the wings of an angel. I fell about a millennia ago. I was watching over a creature that the people, not people, the angels in charge, wanted me to dispose of said creature. I found them elegant and still so full of life. And in an act of defiance, I intervened. I realize now that that was not the best decision that I could have made. I have since spoken to this creature. The fact of the matter is, the reason for my defiance is because the reasons for the angels wanting this creature gone is because they did not want any competition for immortality. That did not sit right with me. Little did they know that the clan that they found was not the only grouping of that particular creature. Obviously, they watched these creatures close, but they did not watch them close enough. So, in my defiance, I was then cast out of my home and told that if I loved the creatures on Earth so much that I should go and join them. I have no regrets. None whatsoever. Because I know that I saved a creature who definitely deserved to live. Yes, that creature is Amos. Yes, he knows about this. He also knows that it was not me that that started the fire that took out a lot of the pack that he ran with. I say a lot. He was the only one that managed to survive. I did not find him for years. That is his story to tell, however. And he will tell you eventually. It has just been a lot harder for him to come to terms with things. Anyway, I suppose we should get back to me and discussing the fall. Well, what happens when an angel falls? Yes, it is pretty similar to what you've seen in media. I think the one that's gotten the closest is I think the one I think the one with the two brothers. I don't remember the name of it. However, it does very much feel like that. The only slight difference is it's your wings burn. And you can almost feel it. It feels almost like a piece of your soul being torn out. I later found one or two other fallen angels, and they, very similar to me, did not completely lose their wings. Their wings changed to a different color. Nobody really knows why. Some of us think it has to do with the reason that we fell. One of them, their wings turned almost a charred black. They ended up being the most corrupt out of the three of us. The other one, the best way that I can describe it is almost similar to the coloring of what you would see with, what are those bright blue butterflies called? You know the ones. I'm sure you've seen them. It was like that. It was blue with like a black outlining. Anyway, back to mine. We're gonna talk about mine. Mine did sort of a weird something that I don't think anybody has ever seen before. Because you generally get like the one or two colors. So like the blue and the black that came with my friend's wings. The all black that came with my other colleague, I guess. Acquaintance is the right word. Mine ended up being, I guess I can just show you. If you look closely, they became almost galaxy color. Lots of purples and blues and blacks, and there's even, you can see stars, which is an unusual occurrence. Not completely unheard of. I guess there was one more before me that had a similar coloring, and they had fallen for a similar reason. They had to finally said no to making the choice of getting rid of a whole creature that was seemingly immortal. I tend to think that it means that I have somehow affected galaxies. I think I have the ability to save these creatures. But yeah, I suppose that it's my story. At least the one that where I have fallen. It took me several hundred years to get to a point where I felt like I could track down the creatures that I had worked so hard to save. That is when I found this forest. Everything was burnt to a crisp. Because it had been through several fires. But then I came across a pretty little fox creature with many colored tails, and instantly knew this was one of the kitsune that I had seen. And so I kind of just slowly made my approach, kind of just peeking out, seeing what he was doing. And I was watching as he was uncovering several plants that had already started growing underneath all the rubble. He did catch on quickly that I was around. And then I remember this like it was yesterday. I stepped out of the brush and I approached him. He immediately got defensive. He immediately flipped around and bared his teeth and pinned his ears back, and that's kind of when I knew like this creature had been traumatized. Not in an exact same way as me, but in a very similar way. The look in his eyes was the look of somebody who had lost everything. And so I held up my hand. I told him that I was not there to bring him any harm. That I was actually one of the angels that watched over him for a really long time before a decision was made that was outside of my control. He naturally got defensive. I backed off. I told him whenever he was curious that he could find me 2 villages over, as that was where I was staying, and that is where I planned to stay for quite a long time. I'd made quite a few friends there. It took him quite a long time to come around. I think it was about 7 or 8 months before he finally decided that he was going to come and talk to me. And we sat down and we talked, and he, of course, was angry, and rightfully so. But when I explained to him that in an act of defiance, I had also lost my home and lost everything, and I had no idea that they had gone forward with the plan anyways, I thought that me being defiant would have given them at least a little bit of a hesitation. We bonded over the fact that we both lost our home. He said that over the past couple 100 years he had rebuilt the forest that he grew up in 5 or 6 times. That whatever he now knows not necessarily probably not an act of nature. Whatever otherworldly being had decided that the forest did not deserve to continue to grow. He was fighting that creature hard. He was fighting that being hard. Eventually, I did convince him to move away from that area. Because I told him I thought that one of the issues that this forest was having was that the angels that I originally ran with knew that there was at least one kitsune still alive in that area, and they were determined to make sure that it did not have like a suitable home. They did not know that that creature was sentient as us, perhaps even smarter. God, I look at him all the time, and he is so smart. I will sing his praises for as long as I live. That being said, it took another 1.5 years for him to finally decide that it was time to move on. We still go back once every 20-30 years, just to check up on things, just to make sure that everyone that still lives there is safe. The last time we went back was about 10 years ago, and it seems that they have finally given up because the forest out there is flourishing. There are tons of creatures moving back in. So his home, his original home, is safe. And he gets to find solace in that anytime we go back. While simultaneously having moved to this new area, we have seen endless growth. We have made it a point that general human contact is not allowed. There are a few hiking trails around our land, but they do not run through this forest. This forest is far too thick for any human to get through. Which, by the way, super impressed that you made it through. Kind of makes me wonder about your heritage. That is a talk for another time. That being said, because of that, a lot of the humans in the local areas tends to make up lore about us because we don't make any appearances. And for good reason. There has, within the last couple 100 years, been a lot of big groups that have started that hunt kitsune for sport. It is tragic. And a lot of them have been searching far and wide for the kitsune with multiple colored tails. So naturally, I keep him as close as I possibly can to myself. And I have, since being on Earth, learned a lot of practices. And learned that I could do a lot more with my powers than I had originally thought. So the reason that this forest is so dense and so well taken care of is quite literally because I put a protection spell around it. A protection spell that only beings with the purest of intentions could possibly break through in order to find our cabin. Which is another reason why I have decided that I can in fact trust you, little human. Because you would not have been able to make it through that barrier if you had any intention of harming anything within this forest. But it has also made me realize something about myself. That I am still angry and bitter about all the things that have happened. And that I am still not the kindest when it comes to showing my anger. However, I do hope that now that you've learned a little bit more about me, and a little bit more of why I am so protective of what's mine, that he will give me the chance to make amends, and to remember the kind-hearted part of me that found Amos all those years ago. And perhaps in helping me and in working side by side with me, it can simultaneously help you in becoming a better human. Because we can all stand to do a little bit better, don't you think? And so long as we are working that way together, I don't think it really matters how we get there. As long as we are not hurting the people that we love intentionally. As long as we are communicating with each other when the other is upset. I do think that this can be good for all three of us. Because I do also have a feeling that you have had many a trouble in your life. And for you to have as many troubles and woes as I think you might have, it is almost refreshing to know that despite all of that, you still are kind and considerate and could definitely use a little bit of confidence boosting. I do say so myself. But that's something that we can work on with time. Just as I will work on my anger issues. Any more questions? No. Alright then. Goodness, I did not realize how late it was. I know that you've been staying the last week, and you would probably like to get home. But I would like it, and I would feel given a little bit of ease of mind if you stayed the night, because I do worry about you being out in the woods this late at night. I promise you, first thing in the morning I will drive you home. Thank you, love. And thank you for sitting and listening to my story and hearing me out. I know that we have a long road ahead of us. But I do feel like it is going to be a good, long road. We will hit bumps, but I do think at the end of the day, that everything will be alright. And that we can help heal each other. Alright, let's get you to your room. And let's get you